Okay, hope everybody had a great weekend. First, I want to take a stroll down memory lane with this single sheet of paper. I want to graph this equation here, okay? So if you remember, we got the y by itself. So, actually, you can make the wall on that side, side of the x. Dot, you're not going to circle it because you're not solving for the x, okay? You're going to put numbers in for the x so you can make a graph out of this. So if you remember, what you do is you go 2, 1, 0, actually -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Now I could go space that out further. I could go -3, -4, -5, -6, 3, 4, 5, 6. It goes on forever. But that's good enough. That's a good representation of points. So what I'm going to do is, as you remember, we're going to replace the x with -2. Okay, so we got 2 times -2 minus 3. If you want to make that 3 a plus negative, that's fine. Don't worry, don't do the plus negatives. Just put -3. Okay, just do what you've always done with that. 2 times -2 minus 3. Okay. Now, if you want to do it one step at a time, you multiply first, then you minus, or you can use your calculator and just do it all at the same time. It really doesn't matter that much to me, to be honest with you. Okay, so we got 2 times -2 minus 3. I got -7. So if you put -2 in for x, your y equals -7. Okay, now we'll put -1 in for x, so 2 times -1 minus 3. Then minus 3, -5. Okay, 2 times, now we put 0 where the x is. 2 times 0 minus 3. So 2 times 0 minus 3 is -3. Okay, 1. 2 times 1 minus 3. It's going to be -1. If you don't know it, just do that. Okay, and then last 2. 2 times 2 minus 3. Okay. One. Okay, now remember how this goes. Okay, you got your positive, positive. You get negative, positive. You got your negative, negative in that quadrant. And you got your positive, negative. Okay. All right, now remember how this goes. This is my x-axis. This is my y-axis. So we got 0 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's good enough. And then this way would be negative. Remember, these are my positives this way. Okay, now the y's, I do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then down here we got negatives. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9. Okay. All right, so -2, -7. So I go to -2 on the x and then -7 on the y. Negative, negative, so -2, -7. Okay, -1, -5. So -1, -5. 0, -3. So I stay here. Don't do this, okay? Or don't do this. 0 on the x means you stay in the middle sideways, but you go down 3. 1, -1. So I go to 1 and then -1. 2, 1. So I go to 2, then 1. Then I take my ruler and graph the line. Okay, there's the line. Okay. Now let's graph another line in an equation. Y is equal to -3 times x plus 2. Okay. So x is your independent variable. We can put whatever we want in for that. Let's do the -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. And then y, let's go -3 times -2 plus 2. Okay, now you're going to put -2 in place of the x. That's 8, okay. Now -1 goes in for x. Got 5, okay. This was on our final, this stuff here. -3 times 0 plus 2 is 2, okay. Then 1 in for x. -3 times 1 plus 2. -1. Okay, then -3 times 2 plus 2. Okay, so remember, you got positive, positive here, negative, positive here, okay, in that quadrant. Here you got positive, negative, and these are both negatives, okay. So -2, 8, okay, by the way. So let's actually try to do this without labeling, okay. So I'll go to -2 on the x, so that's backwards 2 and up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. -1, 5, that's backwards 1, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, 2, that is not forwards or backwards, but it is up 2. 1, -1, that is, now we're going forward 1, but then we go down 1. Then 2, -4, I go forward 2, down 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you're like, why did you waste 8 minutes of our time doing this? Because on today's lesson, you're going to see the line, okay, and you have to get back to the equation, okay? That's what you're trying to accomplish. This is going to be your answer right here. Now you're like, how in the heck am I supposed to do that? There's a little trick for it, okay? So if you compare, let's look at this line. I'm going to go over 8. I've got lots of examples in this. They don't take very long to do, but it's kind of hard to get the hang of. You're always going to have your y, put an equals, and your y is all by itself, okay? Then you're going to put an x, and you're going to have a number in front of the x, kind of like the 2's in front of the x there, a number in front of the x. And then it says -3, but let's just always put plus blank, okay? We need to find the numbers where, like the 2 and the 3, we got to find the numbers that go here, okay? And here's what those are called. This is known as your M, this is known as your B. Okay, MB. By the way, here's what these mean. B is the y-intercept. I know that's kind of a weird letter to call the y-intercept, but it is. And M is called the slope. Now, I've taught you how to find slopes before, okay? So put that just on this problem, and I'll put it on all problems, but if you want to stop, that's fine. So we got to figure out the M and the B, the numbers that those are, so I can place them here. So here's how you find B. When you have a graph, you're going to find B first. Label this Y, put your pencil in the middle, and figure out how many squares up that line is, okay? Because there's that line. That line crosses this Y line right there, okay? Make a point right there. Now, how many squares up is that from the middle? 1, 2, 3. So your B is 3. Okay, easy enough. You just go 1, 2, 3, wherever that line's at. Now, to find your M, I've kind of taught you how to do this, but here's the way I want you to do it. Your M is the slope. Remember, the slope's a fraction, okay? I'm going to put the calculator right there, okay? Because I want you to pick another point, but I want it to be forward, okay? I don't want you looking at that part of the line. I want it to be forward, okay? Now, you got to make a second point. Now, you got to make the point so it's right on a grid, okay? Like if I made a point right here, you know, that doesn't tell me crap because it's not on a grid, okay? I need it to hit one of the crosses, okay? It can be anywhere. I mean, there's a bunch of different places. I'll pick this one here. You can pick any one you want. You could also pick that one. That's right on the grid. That's on the grid. You can't put it here because that's right in the middle of the square. You don't want it right in the middle of the square. So right there. There's your 2 points. Now, do what you did last week. I put my pencil on that first point and I go up or down. I'm going to have to go down. So 1, 2. I went down, so it's -2. That has to go on top. You have to do that first. You can't go across first. You go across after that. 1, 2, 3, 4. -2/4. Okay? Now, go get your multiplication chart and reduce that. Okay? Just like I taught you before. It's a fraction. It's a ratio. You're going to reduce it. Okay? I'll get a chart here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So I divide, and I say 2 and 4. Okay, they're there. They're in the second row, so I divide by 2. Okay, so -2 divided by 2 is -1. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and that's what I put in this blank here, -1/2. Okay, and that's the equation. Now I'm going to go over 11 more examples. It takes a while to get the hang of it. So this is my answer right here. Answer. Y equals X with something in front of it plus something else. I mean, look at this. Something in front of the X plus something else. This is called my M. This is my B. So again, remember what these mean. M is the slope. B is the y-intercept. Okay. So to find your y-intercept, this is your y. Put your pencil in the middle. To get to that line, we have to go down 1, 2, 3. That's the y-intercept, okay? That is where this line hits that y-axis right there. Make a point there. Now, how many squares down is that from the, oh, it's down, isn't it? So 1, 2, 3. It's down 3. So my B is -3, okay? See up here, it was up 1, 2, 3, so it was +3. But now it's down, so 1, 2, 3, that would be -3. Okay, so that's, now I got to get a second point, but remember, I basically cut that half of the graph off, and I got to find a point where it hits the grid, okay? How about right there? You could also go there, you could also go there, you could also go there, because you're going to reduce your fraction, it's all the same in the end, okay? Now, figure out your slope. Put your pencil there, remember, start on that point. You have to go up first, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's up 4, so that's +4. You can just put 4 if it's positive. Now go across 2. Okay, now 4 and 2, they're in the second row. Okay, so I divide by 2. Remember, they're also in the first row, but I want to take the furthest one down I can get, as far down as I can get. So that's 2/1. Now you're going to put 2/1, but if you have a 1 on the bottom, get rid of it. If you have a 1 on the top, you keep it, but a 1 on the bottom, get rid of it, because that's actually 2, okay? If 1 is on the bottom, get rid of it. If 1 is on the top, you keep it. Okay, let's keep on rolling. x, it needs a multiplying number in front of it, plus another number. This is called your m, that's your slope. B is the y-intercept. So m is my slope. B is my y-intercept. Okay, y-int. So I'm going to go down this line here, and you tell me when I hit the line that's this way. Right there, okay? How many squares up is that from the middle? Well, it's right on the middle, isn't it? So 0 is your B, okay? Yeah, you can have 0. Now cut that in two and find another point where it's exactly on the corner of a square. That's not. That one would be, okay? You could also go down here, doesn't matter when you're working on your own. Okay, so those are the 2 points. Now I make my little triangle. First, you have to go up or down. You'd have to go down 1, 2. So that'd be -2, and I'd go forward 2. So that would be 2. So remember, the -2's on top, the up-down's on top, the 2's on the bottom. It's rise over run. Okay, vertical this way on top, across on bottom. Now, the table's not going to do me any good here because they're the same numbers. So when I divide, I'm going to divide by the number 2. And that becomes -1 over 1. So I put that here. And if you have a 1 on the bottom, just get rid of it. So y is equal to -1x plus 0. Okay, example number 4. You're going to write that for every one of these problems. Remember what m and b mean, okay? M is the slope, which I find second. B is the y-intercept, where I find first. So I go down the y line, okay, and find where that line right there hits. Down, down, down. Right there, okay, right there. Make a point, boom. Now go to the middle and figure out how many squares that is up or down from the middle. It's up 1, 2, 3, 4, up 4. So B is +4. So just put a 4 there. Now, split the graph in half, okay? Let's go right there. That's right on the grid. And now I make the slope triangle for it. So I'd have to go down to get, I have to go either up or down first. 1, 2, 3, 4. You went down, so it's -4. And then across 1, 2. So -4 over 2. Now we reduce the slope, okay? So 4 and 2, I've been the second row again, so divide by 2, and that's -2, and that's 1. So up here I put -2 over 1. If you have a 1 on the bottom, get rid of it, okay? 1 on the top you keep, but 1 on the bottom you get rid of. It has to be a 1 too. If it's like a 4 on the bottom, you can't get rid of 4, just 1. Okay, example 5. Okay, you got x. Remember, just like it looks like this: y equals something times x, something x, then plus something else. Sometimes it's minus. Just put a plus sign all the time. Okay, so we got to find m and b. Now remember what those mean. Okay. M is the slope, you find that second. B is the y-intercept. So on that y line, make the point where it hits the line. No, right there. How many squares up or down is that from the middle? It's down 2, okay? Down 1, 2. So -2 is my B, okay? Your slope's a fraction, you need a second point. Remember, cut the graph, you want to only go on this side, okay? Find where it hits the grid. Right there looks good, looks close enough. Now I can count squares. You have to count up or down first. You would count up. 1, 2, 3. up, so plus 3. Across 1, 2. Okay, so 2. Now let's look to reduce that. So 3 and 2 right there, so it'd just be 1, which would keep it 3 over 2. Okay, so I put 3 over 2, and I do not have a 1 on the bottom, so you do not cross out the bottom. It's got to be a 1 on the bottom. So that's it. Y equals blank x plus blank. Okay, so I really don't need a calculator for this. M is the slope, B is the y-intercept. Okay. Okay, now here's my y. Find where we hit that line. Down, down, down. Right there. Okay. Here's your first point. Now go to the middle and count how many squares up that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's positive 6. So that's your B. It's like that's the beginning of the line. When I cut it in half, this is the beginning. It starts at 6 when I'm in this quadrant. Now I want to find where it hits dead on right there. Dead on, smack dab in one of these crosses, in the middle of the cross. Okay. All right, so we have to go down 1, 2, 3. So that would be a negative 3 on top. Then across 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a 4. The bottom's always positive. That's why I have you going this way all the time. Okay, so that you can always put a positive on the bottom. The up down's kind of easy to see if it should be positive or negative, but the across, so let's always have that be positive. See, if I put a point up here, then I have to go back that way, backwards, and then I gotta worry about my bottom being a negative. Okay, so that's why. Okay, so 3 and 4. Okay, 3 and 4 is there. So just 1. So that would stay the same. Do you have a 1 on the bottom? No, you don't, so don't cross anything off. That's the answer. Okay, next. Okay, mx, blank x plus blank. This is the m variable, this is the b. And you got to find both of them. Okay, so remember what these mean. M is our slope, B is our y-intercept. So here's my y, okay? This is what, so I work my way right there, it crosses, okay? Now count, go from the middle, you have to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So the B is 5, positive 5. Then, find a point where it hits the grid. How about right there? You could go there, you could go there. It's all going to work out in the end, okay? Okay, so we start here. We have to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So negative 4 over 2, okay? So negative 4 is on top, 2's on bottom. It's got to be like that too. You got to have the up down part on top, the across part on bottom. So divide 4 and 2's in the 2 row, so we would divide by 2, and that gives me negative 2 over 1. You got a 1 on bottom, get rid of it, okay? So it's negative 2x plus 5. Okay, y equals blank x plus blank, MB. So M is the slope, B is the y-intercept. So work down, 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 right there, okay? Now, again, here's another mistake people make. They'll count the squares down. No, you go to the middle and count the squares 1, 2, okay? So that B is at 2, because if I numbered this at y-axis, 1, 2, so it's at 2. Okay, then the slope. Okay, that's on the grid, it's right in the cross, okay? So I got to go up plus 2 over 2. So the plus 2's on top, 2 over 2. Well, I don't need my chart. I would divide them both by 2, and that's 1 over 1. If you have 1 on the bottom, get rid of it. You keep the 1 on the top, but not the bottom. Because if something's over a 1, it's really not a fraction. It's just a whole number. It's an integer. Okay. Okay, so remember, M is my slope, B is my y-intercept, okay? So the y-intercept, right there, okay? Now go to the middle and count how many squares up that is. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't make a line or anything, it's up 4, so it's at, because if I number the y, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, right there. Okay, and I work my way forward. Right there will work, okay, that's right on the grid. I can easily count the squares then. 1, 2, 3, negative 3, because it's going down, forward 1. So the negative 3 must go on top, the 1 on the bottom. If you have 1 on the bottom, you can get rid of it, okay? Y equals negative 3x plus 4. And it looks just like these. Okay, I only assigned 4 problems, so. Okay, so the slope is known as the M, and the B is known as the y-intercept, okay? So the y. Right there, okay? Now, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So negative 3. Just count, okay? When you go down, you count by negatives. Up, you count by positives. Okay? Now, calculator over this, right in the middle. Pick a point where it would hit the grid. Right there is where I'm going to pick. You can pick it. When you're doing it on your own, you can pick another one, okay? Because if you use this right, you're all going to get the same thing in the end. So squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's positive 5. So 5's on top. 1, 2, 5 over 2. Okay. Now let's divide them. Oops, I forgot to do that. Sorry, my bad. You would divide this, okay? 3 and 1 are both in the first row, so you divide by 1, but it would stay negative 3 over 1. My bad, okay? I skipped that step. 5 and 2 in the first row, that would be 1, okay? So that's 5 over 2. All right, so we can't get rid of a 1, so that's it. By the way, you don't get rid of 1s on the top, just the bottom. Okay, last 2. MB. Remember, M is a slope, B is the y-intercept. Okay, so for to find B, right there, okay? Now count from the middle, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. So negative 4 is your B. Find a point on the grid. I'm going to go with this one here. You can also go that one. Doesn't matter because you're going to reduce it using your chart anyway. So, remember the slopes of ratio. So it's up 1, so plus 1, because it's up, and across 2. So it's 1, 2. So 1 over 2. You don't have, your 1's there, but it's not on the bottom, so don't get rid of it. Oh, I've skipped the steps, sorry. Okay, 1 and 2 are in the first row. Divide by 1, it'd still be 1 over 2. I keep forgetting that. Okay. Okay, last one. Y equals. Okay, remember M is the slope, B is the y-intercept. Okay. So right there, now let's go to the middle and count positive 1, positive 2, positive 3, positive 4, positive 5, positive 6, plus 6, so 6. Now I'm going to pick a point far out, okay? I'm feeling kind of frisky here. I'll pick this one, okay? Okay, so again, that'd be negative 3. Remember, that's the top. Negative 3 has to be, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? Okay, now I reduce that. Finally, I remembered. So 3 and 5. By the way, if 5 was in that row, I'd divide them both by 3, but it's not. So 3, and that's 5, just a 1. So it's going to be negative 3 over 5. Okay? You don't have a 1 on bottom, so you keep it as a fraction. Okay? All right, I know there's a lot of examples, but it takes a while to really get in the groove on this.